We don't just fear growing old, we fear becoming replaceable. Hi, welcome back to a fear that most of us will go through or have already been through. There is a quiet discomfort that slips into many relationships over time. Not loud enough to be spoken, but heavy enough to be felt. It shows up in small questions, in passing doubts, in the way we sometimes look at our partner and then at ourselves. What if they find someone younger? What if I'm not enough anymore? And underneath all of this sits a deeper question we rarely admit. Why do we despise aging so much that we begin to distrust love itself? Because aging, in many ways, is not just about time. It is about identity. We live in a world that applauds firsts, but grows quiet around what lasts. Youth is treated like a spotlight, immediate, visible, desired. But what endures rarely gets the same gaze. And slowly, without noticing, we begin to measure love through that same lens. We start to believe that love leans toward what is new, what feels untouched, what looks effortless. And that belief quietly reshapes how safe we feel. Because if value is tied to youth, then where do we stand as we change? We don't just fear losing beauty, we fear losing our place. Not loudly, but in ways we don't even admit to ourselves. And this fear doesn't stay within us. It reaches the person beside us. So the fear is not just that we age, but that love, in their eyes, will start looking elsewhere. We begin to question their loyalty, not because they have changed, but because we feel like we have. It becomes easier to imagine betrayal than to accept the quiet shift happening within us. But here's something we rarely hold on to long enough. If love was only about youth, it would never survive time. And yet, the deepest forms of love do survive. They don't remain the same. They deepen. They trade intensity for steadiness, novelty for knowing. They grow roots where surface once mattered. The shared silences, the familiar rhythms, the way presence itself becomes enough. These are things youth cannot offer, no matter how bright it appears. but we overlook them because they don't demand attention. So, instead of trusting what has been built, we start fearing what could be lost. And that fear quietly changes how we love. It makes us guarded, comparative, restless, not because love is fragile, but because our sense of worth begins to feel fragile. We start to think, if I'm changing, then I'm losing. But what if change is not loss? What if it is a different kind of becoming? Aging does not erase who we are. It reveals who remains when everything surface level begins to shift. And love, real love, does not anchor itself to the surface. It anchors itself to presence, to history, to the decision to stay again and again. So when the fear arises that your partner could choose someone younger, pause. Not to push it away, but to understand what it's pointing toward. Is it really about them? Or is it about how you've been taught to see yourself? Because the moment we begin to see aging as losing value, we also begin to see love as something that can be outgrown. And that is where the real fracture begins. Perhaps the question is not, will they choose someone younger? But can I still see myself as worthy even as I change? Because when that shifts, love stops feeling like something we could lose and starts feeling like something we are still growing into. And it's a beautiful place to be. Think about it, and we'll meet in the next thought.